All right, we're here, my friends. We are here, and this is a very important set in Titans League Gold because the winner of this set will move into an open spot left from the relegated players in Platinum. Reason for that is the top 8 in Gold League fill the bottom 8 spots. We have Sobek, the Chilean, in the green. Sobek, I don't know his exact age. I'm going to try and give you as much information on these players, but if I'm not wrong, Sobek's like late 20s, early 30s, really aggressive player from Chile. And the thing about Sobek is that he didn't really play the Definitive Edition the first year and a half, though he did play on Voobly all the time, which is where a majority of the pro players played prior to DE. So he's had a solid year. He had a solid run in his group, and he comes in here trying to beat Running, and you might have seen a bit more from Running over the past 2 years. Much improved player from Germany, and Running is known being very good on closed maps. However, he is also quite good on open maps. He just prefers those closed maps. Also, how are these colors? These colors are very different. If we're going to change them, I'm going to have to change them early. But yeah, Running, I think, has had deeper runs into tournaments. So Running probably comes in here as the favorite, but Sobek played very well, as I expected in the group stage. He finds himself here. Now, we will have the quarterfinals, semis, and then the finals of Gold. That will still happen. But, you know, if you win this series and then lose the next series, you're still getting into Platinum for the next season, which is one of the biggest rewards of playing in Gold. I think that this is one of the rare color matchups with purple and green that actually works. And also on one of the rare map gens. Because I think if it was a green map, it wouldn't be as preferable to have Sobek in the green here. Okay, so Sobek playing as the Byzantines, Running playing as the Hindustanis, and we saw the Byzantines and the Hindustanis do so many good things in Platinum League. So I'm pumped to be casting these two. Map-wise, things look pretty good for Running. Normally, this is a wall map. You're near the edge of the map, which is really what encourages you to wall. Running didn't actually finish his house here, though. So this is a big mistake, actually. He thinks he placed his house, and he, instead of holding shift, I guess he must have misclicked it. This is bad. Like, this is going to house him. And I think he must have just realized this. And he will be slightly housed. At least he realized it, so it's not quite as bad. Yeah, that's not going to be the end of the world then. So good awareness from him. Obviously, like, first game of the day jitters for him, I'm sure. And Sobek's going to wall off towards the edge of the map here. Berries will be protected. Golds could be protected. So, yeah. I could easily see Fast Castle happening for both players here. So, I was just saying that the other 4 names that are not established, those 4 players that are already in were the winners of their groups. And so I think in Group A, you had Valis winning. I think in Group B, you had Draken winning. I think Group C had Ganji winning. I mean, these are some names I did not expect to win, guys. Like, it's something I'm going to have to make a separate video on. And then someone remind me, who was it in Group D? I might even have the actual group letters wrong. Who was the other player that was promoted? Should be a name. Oh, Sato. Sato was the other one. And that was definitely Group D, because I remember paying a lot of attention to Group D. So you had those guys immediately advancing to the quarters because they won their group. And then these are the second places and third places from respective groups facing off against each other. But yeah, of those 4 names that won their group, 2 of them are a big surprise to me. Ganji, whose peak is like 2200 rating, which is like 200 rating below Running, for example. About like 100, maybe 150, even 200 rank below what Sobek's peaked at. Freaking won his group. And he had some sick results. And then Draken as well. Like, I predicted Draken. He sent me a funny meme. I predicted Draken would actually be bottom 2 in his group, and he ended up first place. So, it shows what preparation can do for you. Yeah, since I wasn't able to cover a lot of the groups, you guys might not have been able to see some of those games. So, I want to get some content out there to the Extras channel at some point to talk about it. T90, has your girlfriend ever casted with you? No. No, she is not. But eventually, I think the next day I do a 24-hour stream, which might not be for a while. We always do special events, so I think I might have her pass some games with me and act like she knows what she's talking about. Sobek is going fast feudal here. And we have seen this a lot, even though the wall potential is there. We've seen a lot of players wall but go fast feudal and rush economy. And this is just a safe method for a lot of these players, just to ensure that they don't take damage if there's a rush. And they can defend. Like, let's say you get tower rush, you can make a counter tower. And then what players end up going into is eco upgrades. And so their castle age time will suffer a little bit, but their economy will be really strong when they make it there. No surprise to me, though, that Running, the player who does like a lot of the fast castle maps, like Arena and whatnot, is simply just going to skip through the feudal age. All right. So, having played against both these two, I think Running wins this 3-1. That's my prediction. And I think the important distinction between the two players is that Sobek is sick on open maps. He drafted Arabia, and he drafted Serengeti. So, Arabia-style maps. Gold Rush is kind of in the middle, too. That's what makes this fun. Gold Rush is like open in the middle, but it's closed at the start. So it's kind of an in-betweener situation. But Running, I mean, you know, again, I played against both of them. He loves Arena, and he drafted Fortified Clearing, and I think Houseboat is his home maps because Arena was banned. But the guy started off, like, I remember playing Running all the time on Arabia. So 2018, I'd never reached 2200 rating on Voobly, so this is not on DE, right? And I had an 11-game win streak. All of those games were against Running. That's right. I won 11 straight against the dude, fed off of him, because you could just rematch the same people back then if you wanted to. I kind of miss a rematch feature. But anyways, so this is not to brag, because 2 years later, he's here. I guess it's 3 years later, or 4 years now. Anyways, so like now he's like way better than me in accomplishing all these things. So he's really exploded. Tons of talent. And he brought that up as well. He's like, not too bad for a guy that got 11-0'd by you back in 2018. So he remembered that. Blacksmith market there for Running. This is an interesting decision because a lot of people are going to go barracks. And then they'll go stable and then blacksmith. But if you go blacksmith market, you don't actually have a military building. So what he might opt for is maybe, I don't know, like a monastery just to get conversions. But this would tell me that this is going to be a boom. So he's going to go directly into town centers. And we'll find out. Walls are up. Nothing too exciting right now. Also a great map for players to ease their way into a stressful series. I think if you were to start off with any map, you might want Gold Rush because it gets you warmed up enough because you do need to do a lot of aggression in the middle. But it's not something that you necessarily want to pull your hair out over. Like Serengeti, game one start would just be crazy. You also have to, you know, get your mind firing on holes in walls and general base structure, which you wouldn't need to on Arena or something. And anyways, here comes Sobek. He will be later to Castle Age, like we mentioned. He's out of the stable already. And he's got the Blacksmith. And here comes the Spearman. Now, I mean, the Spearman isn't really going to accomplish much. The Spearman most likely will just collect some of the lions, possibly. They're always around the ring, but not between the players in most cases. That's how we set it up. And this will definitely be TC opening here for Running. Oh, wait, he added a barracks now. So I think he might be tempted to send villagers to the middle. To me, it looks like he wants to come out here and drop his second TC. And, oh, he almost got a hit there. Oh, he's going to TC the stone. Interesting. Okay. All right, so 2 Spearmen. There's the monastery. So this is all standard stuff so far. Castle Age is on the way now for Sobek. So I guess if that TC is going up on the stone, Running wants to think about going for the Gulam. Now, don't get too excited about it, because usually when you place a TC like this, the majority of your villagers are still going to be on wood, because you really need wood and food to keep all the town centers running. But still, that is a mindful choice to leave his base so he can have access to that stone and have that secured. And this doesn't necessarily mean that he will go Gulams, but certainly he's going to have the option to. I think the castle is going to be more for defending himself. You look at Sobek scouting, and he doesn't actually see that right now. But he does have some spearmen coming out, so there's spearmen everywhere. And I think he should know up against running that this is going to be a situation where relics are going to be fought for because it's an arena player. Also, all the lions are attacking the spearman from Sobek right now. And now you have a monk going for a conversion on a spearman. And now they get deleted. And, oh, the lions, they're full, man. The lions are full. We also did have a kill, by the way. The scout went down for running there, which is actually kind of a big deal. The lions might eventually end up attacking the spearman if they head over there. But yeah, Sobek has added scouts because he knows there will be monks. But running has added spearmen to protect his monks. So a good overall strategy so far. And wow, Sobek, no hesitation whatsoever. Goes bam. Loses a scout, kills a monk. Nice little split. Did you see that? Here, I'm going to show you this again because I think you guys need to appreciate it. I'm going to do the, like, classic Chris Berman. Ready? Whoop! There you go. Shout out to Chris. I don't know how old that dude is these days, or if you guys even know who that is. Also, I just remembered I'm slightly behind live time, so we're actually going to speed up a little bit. These are live games. My bad for that. I was like a minute behind or 2 minutes or something. I remember I have fond memories of watching like NFL primetime growing up with Chris Berman, and he like Marshall, whoop, you know, like he could go all the way. I have very fond memories of that. I don't know how many of you guys even know what I'm talking about, but for anyone who watches NFL football, I brings back memories, man. Okay, so really heavy on stone is running. Like he's 2 TCs, which is rather uncommon for this stage of the game. He really wants that castle. Now, he's going to go for the... I actually really like this approach. So he does spend a little bit of stone just to get the TC up, but you don't want to fall too far behind in villagers. If you think about it, though, he was on the second town center before his opponent was. So maybe the vill count will just be even now. And the 3 TC eco is very wood, food heavy right now for Sobek. Now, he does have his own monastery looking for relics, has a scout patrolling here. Moves out here with his scouts. He's going to see another monk. This should be a kill. The TC will not be up in time. And that's another monk down here. 3-1 KD. And now this monk could get hit as well. And running really struggling here to start off this series. I think the monk control has been something that would frustrate him. Thinking about the long-term composition, I mean, Byzantine's one of the few civs that can deal with any civilization. I think having access to cataphracts should scare running off of Ghulams. And Ghulams are mainly an anti-archer unit too, so I don't really know, as we should see a spearman get converted here. And it does get converted really quickly. I don't really know if you even want to go Ghulams. Sobek happily just floods the map with spearmen. He doesn't seem to care too much about that. He's Byzantines and it's cheap. And we have one relic collected for the Chilean. And maybe someone could look him up on Liquipedia, but like I think he's a bit on the older side. Like we have such a good mix in this gold league, right? The experienced names that have been around a long time. You have the young up and comers. Like we have, I think, a 20-year-old versus like a 21-year-old coming up later in Margugu versus Sebastian. This will be a siege workshop, by the way. And I don't think Sobek has realized that his opponent was that heavy on stone. Like, the siege workshop now will look a little less exciting if you see that that castle is going to be up. And I think that was the idea from running. They're both 26. Oh, really? Why did I think Sobek was like 31? Okay, I'm wrong. Sorry. Like I said, I don't know the specifics for all of them. All right. Well, they're kids compared to me, so screw them, you know? Okay, so Ghulams will actually have a time window here because against Spearmen and Camels, it's pretty nice. Against Cataphracts or Knights, it's not. And that scout was just patrolling there, but running wisely protects his monk as he's on the way. Sobek might realize now. But look at this scout. Oh my god, he sniped the other one. Even, like, you could give up on this too, but nope. He said, not today. Villagers are on stone out here. There's only 5 of them, though. And now more villagers are heading over. That makes sense. He does know the castle's gone up now, so he's going to make a scorpion. And I think the important thing now is actually that the monks get conversions if any Ghulams come in. There's 4 Ghulams right now, and so that could be 4 conversions, and you probably want to engage with like 8 or something minimum if you're running. 29 is not old. I feel old, man. I feel old. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my mind. At least compared to some of these players these days. Let's put it that way. Super heavy stone production. Let's look at the resources collected. So the resources collected is similar, but look at the difference in these resources because stone comes in very slow and so much of it has been brought in by running. Another scout moving in for a monk. Now, Sanctity is in, finally, but that won't matter. God, man. Sobek's been a beast with his scouts. So active on the map. I'm actually very curious to see the APM. So they're both very quick. But, I mean, you know, one player has scouts and the other person does not. Okay, does Sobek see this? He needs 4 conversions, like I said earlier. He's going to get 1. He's going to get 2. He could get 3. He could get 4. He could be 5, actually, with 5 monks. And running backs away. Now, it's not the end of the world. This is actually a really important moment because I think if Sobek were to try and commit to castling this hill, it would actually be a big mistake. So he's realizing that, and I think as he adds the range, he needs to fall back. He needs to drop a castle here fast. He realizes with those numbers that it's just a matter of time till running clears him. The running's at 14 Gulams, has an attack upgrade, will have full castle age armor. Also, woo, 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 woo! Let's go kill the villager! Yeah! Way to go, Lions. I guess the play... Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sobek's making archers? Wait, what? Well, I mean, it's going to take him some time to be able to get to hand cannons. Honestly, okay, here's the deal. If he can get this castle up, then I'm okay with this. Because he'll have archers combined with potentially hand cannons later on. But, oh, man, running! He's running the wrong way! He's got now, he will take the middle. He could still easily deny this castle. And I think he's now thinking, I need to defend my castle, and I don't want to donate Gulams to the opponent. But now he's like, maybe I should take this fight. Here he comes. The castle's at 60%. Crossbowmen will not accomplish a lot here. But I should remind you that Gulams and Castle Age only have 5 Pierce Armor. I say only as if that's bad. But it's not like the 8 Pierce Armor you would have later on. Thankfully for Sobek, his castle will complete. And he'll be in the Imperial Age way faster. But man, running could have... If he would have moved to the right position, he could have won the game right there. Does end up clearing up the crossbows. Like I said, don't love the idea. But now that you've got a castle up, and you can make a couple cataphracts, and ballistics is in as well. Like, ballistics really helped there. Getting some shots on the Gulams, maybe it's fine. Because ultimately, what you need to do here is you want to go hand cannons. Which you can only do after chemistry is completed. Now, for running, he's got 2 castles. He sees this Scorpion, not a fan of that. He'll move out to kill that. It's 3-1 with relics, by the way. Running doesn't know about this one in the back, which is why he didn't snag it. More gold saturation for the German, though. And it's very awkward for Sobek to protect his gold. You've got to be kidding me, though. Surely he faced up against the Gulams at some point in Gold League. Robo, can you go to Liquipedia and check? The fact that this guy's getting Arbalest... Does he want to go Arbalest Cataphract? Is that the plan? I mean, I don't mind that composition. I actually think that composition can be really strong. But you do also need to use your castles to make trebs here. I'm just surprised we didn't see chemistry yet. Getting Thumbring and Bracer feels like rather low priority. But I'm sure there's a lot of things going on in his mind. Even if he was just going straight Arbalest play, he would always want to get chemistry in these situations. But he's going to get Arbalest first. Okay, so right now he would do pretty good damage against the Gulams. The Gulams are continuously being spammed by running. He is under pressure with this castle, and he does have what I would consider limited stone. He's got the stone here, and that's it. It'll be double castle from the Byzantines. Now chemistry's on the way. And I love what Sobek's doing now. He's going to get to a few trebs. And now he says, well, okay, I need cataphract numbers because he's making Gulams. And he canceled Arbalest, actually. He canceled Arbalest so we can get chemistry. So that was a good call. I don't think upgrading archers is the priority here. Elite Gulams on the way. And also, we have more attack upgrades. And also chemistry now for running. And this is definitely going to be a moment where running is going to dive these trebuchets. Again, there's not a lot of villagers on gold in the middle right now. That is a lot of Gulams from running. And I feel like the crossbowmen are very weak in this army. They're now doing 1 damage a hit. Right? Yeah, 1 damage a hit. They tickle them. Now, the cataphracts are awesome, but are there enough cataphracts? And look at what Running's going to do. He got 12 range on his monks, so he can just steal the cataphracts. Dang, what a hold. You can see the monk experience paying off for him as the Ghulams take 1. They're going to take 2. They're going to take all 3 trebuchets. They should take all 3 trebuchets. And this is what I had mentioned, right? Like, you can't rely on cataphracts easily when you need your when it's so hard to keep your castles up. And I think the alternative would have needed to be gunpowder. Now, he has chemistry now, but he's still making crossbowmen. It feels weird to get to this stage, but I honestly don't even think Sobek understands how how Ghulams work. Unless he's thinking that he was trying to make crossbows as an eventual counter to what someone might make against his cataphracts. Like, maybe he's thinking his opponent would go Halb or something, or Camel, and that he went Arbalest out there for that. Okay, cataphracts getting some good kills here, but I think for Running, he's got more gold control, so he's happy to toss away his Ghulams here to take out a castle, and we have the Bombard Cannon as well. Bombard Cannon could be focused down. You got to keep this one up. And he does actually keep this one up. Also, the crossbow sniping all the monks as I'm talking about that. And now Running needs to back away. It's 135 pop for both players. I actually have my legitimate concerns for both players. That's going to be a dead Bombard Cannon. It's following a Treb. Yep, there you go. Yeah, I have big concerns over both players and their long-term with military production. Because one player is making cataphracts, which you need the castles for. The other player is making Ghulams against cataphracts and potentially hand cannons. So the Trebs are back in. We now will have Bombard Cannons and hand cannons from Running, though. And Shatagni's now coming in, so his hand cannons will have 9 range. Is that correct? 9 range? That is correct. It doesn't... I say it, and it doesn't even make sense to me in my mind. But I believe that is correct, because I think they have 1 more range than Arbalest. It's an absolutely insane bonus. There's a Bombard Cannon. There's Trebs. I love the Redemption tech coming in from Running now. So he can convert enemy Bombard Cannons. And he just has more of the middle right now. And when he'll see this, I'm sure his monks will come over here. But he will lose his Treb. Most likely anyways. Loses his Treb. But he's now taken out another castle. And you can see this castle. So... Running just needs to hold the middle right now. And there is monks going after the Bombard Cannons. The crossbows will normally go after the monks here. There they go in after a Bombard Cannon. Ghulams show up, though. Castle Fire is there to help. Sobek snipes it, pulls back. Very well played. I think Sobek's in big trouble, though. Is military populations okay? The type of military he's making isn't awful. But I do not think it's ideal if elite Ghulams can be made. And elite Ghulam and hand cannons are both being made. And there's monks in the mix. It's such a diverse composition for Running. And this is a guy who could always go for camels or something too if he really wanted to. Now, I think he's just trying to get a feel for what his opponent's up to. And look, immediately with the monks. Converts 1 Bombard Cannon. 2 Bombard Cannons! That's such a big swing! And the monks survive to get more conversions as well. This is getting worse and worse for Sobek. He just doesn't know what to do against his composition. He's on Arbalest and he's on Cataphract, but he will soon have 0 castles. Again, the hand cannons kind of outrange him here. This is the very first pick for Running. They both had 3 global bans available. As Sobek clearly did not ban the Hindustanis. And there the castle goes down and Sobek is now population capped. And it's about to be full population for Running. And I think Running feels like if I just don't make any mistakes over the next couple moments, I win this game. So let's oh god, actually that was maybe a mistake. But just got to be patient, get my numbers up, hold the middle. Now, this is crazy because if Sobek is able to take this castle out and then drop his own castle in the middle, the whole game changes. He's going to go skirms now. But I feel like once this group of cataphracts is gone, Ghulams just wrecks everything. So that's really the key right now is the cataphract numbers. We don't actually see any more monks for Running, so he is really under pressure. And I love how much pressure Sobek continues to put on. Anytime he's got an opportunity here, he's going right in after that castle. Here he has to be careful as he builds another castle. And there's bomber cannons from both players. This is insane. This castle should complete. It's just that one Ghulam's being a pain. The Cataphracts here. Probably not the position you'd want them in. The Ghulams are finding a decent spot to squeak in. There's also only 7 Cataphracts now. And again, if you take out the bomber cannons, the push in the middle is done for now. And that's precisely what running will do. There is another castle now, so you could make more Cataphracts, but all the bomber cannons got sniped there. Is this the moment where running takes the first game? Ghulam, hand cannon, trebuchet, slowly pushing it against his castle. And again, I think he's known. You just have to relax. This is also interesting. Both players will want that stone. Another castle over here for running. That's also additional unit production for him. And yeah, the GG's going to have to be called here. Everything for Sobek goes down. And yeah, those Ghulams proved to be strong. No, I really wish I could have seen how this game would have gone if we saw Sobek get fast chemistry. It was a good first game in the series, but I feel as though maybe he didn't realize how the Ghulams operated. I remember the first time I saw a Ghulam, for example. It doesn't look like a high Pierce Armor unit. It looks like a unit that's kind of like a pike, and that it would be good against cavalry and weak against archers. Now, again, it's weird to me because Gold League happened, and there were very few bans in Gold League. So there's no way that like Sobek didn't face up against Ghulams or hasn't seen Ghulams on ladder at the very least. But it just seemed a little shaky to not prioritize the gunpowder there, because he was in the Imperial Age faster, and he didn't prioritize chemistry. Remember, he prioritized bracer, which gives additional damage and range to crossbowmen, but that is negated completely by the unit that running is making. The total resources collected, 51,000 resources. Running did have more food and more gold there. And he did a couple really wise things. Obviously, when he saw the Arbalest and the Skirms, going Ghulams continuously was the play. But he also followed it up with his own gunpowder with the proper unique techs. And I love the monks, guys. Because there were a couple engagements there where it looked like the Cataphracts would own, but then 4 or 5 monks showed up to get conversions, and Sobek didn't really have an answer to that. So, GG there. You look at the KD, it was quite close. But again, I think the unit composition was off there for Sobek. And he ran into the classic problem where he wanted to make Cataphracts, but he needed his castles to make Trebs at the same time. And you lose those castles, suddenly you're in trouble. All right, here we are, game number 2. So Mayans is a really solid pick for this map, and I don't mind it at all. I know a lot of people think Mayans, and they think, oh my god, you can't wall with Mayans. What are you doing here? But you start with an extra villager, and you research Loom right away. And so what some players have been doing is they've been using that starting villager to try and lame. And I was just saying how Sobek lamed, might want to lame with the Mongols. And you can see Sobek now, all that vision with the Mongols. Mongols are known for trying to steal some res, and they're also known for pushing Hunt. So running, taking a risk here. We saw this in Platinum and Gold. Running is hoping that he can find his enemy's Hunt, and he can shoot it down with that villager and just be a pest. But I don't see that happening here. We saw Mongols and we saw Aztecs picked... Or sorry, not... Well, yeah, Mongols and Aztecs were picked a lot. What I meant to say was Mayans and Aztecs were picked pretty frequently in Platinum League. So players definitely prefer the civilization. And where's that villager at? Oh, there she is. Okay. So yeah, didn't take too long. And now all of a sudden there's a villager here shooting down the zebra. And so this is Hunt that's going to decay. And Sobek did not try and take the lame approach to steal resources. And I think he's going to see the villager now, and he has to make a decision. Now the scout will always win a 1v1 fight against... the Eagle scout will always win a 1v1 fight against the scout. So Sobek's like, oh god, I guess I got to bring in my elephant real fast. And I got to try and push in what I can of my Hunt before I end up getting lamed here. And notice how he has chosen not to do anything with it. So if you were to go with one Vil... Well, first off, you'd have to research Loom, which would delay your Vil count. But let's say you do that, and then you send your scout out. You're still fighting at a disadvantage. Because the Eagle and Loomed Villager is slightly better, because of the 4 attack, than the scout and 1 Loomed Villager. So this is actually a great start from running. You know what the Mongols are good for? It's all about Dark Age into a fast Feudal Age, and you're delaying as much as possible here. And now, you also have the goats, and you can just take the goats. That was really bad from Sobek, though. You never, ever, ever try and send your sheep back there. I understand he's freaking out, and I understand he's concerned that he's going to lose stuff, so he probably just clicked it back to the TC, not really thinking about it. Oh, wow, this is awesome. Now, still no loom. And so you have to be very careful because this eagle could kill a villager on his own. This is the dream start for running. This is precisely what you would want to do in this matchup. And we'll see what he ends up accomplishing. Still no loom. Why are we not getting loom? Oh, he was on the way. But he sent the weak villager out again. Smart move from running. Back at home. Just taking a look at his resources. Now, his uptime will be very delayed. He actually has 7 on wood, which is probably not something he was intending to do originally. I think he was just really focused on the micro. Looking around now, going to place a couple palisades next to the mill just to make it awkward and annoying. And I really feel like Sobek's struggling to deal with this. Oh, Sobek got housed as well. Oh, no. Oh, no. And he's like got the res to go feudal, but you never want to go 15 pop up. Oh, he's going 15 pop. He's got 14 villagers working. This is a disaster. Oh, man. I mean, this is the worst possible start. Now, initially it was going to be awkward, right? This I like. I think this is a smart move. But losing the Vill and then losing the 2 sheep and taking as much damage as you did was just not something you'd want to happen. He quick walls the eagle in, though, so he can now kill the eagle. But, guys, he's going to arrive to the next age, and he's not going to be able to do anything with it. Like, he could get 1 eco upgrade. This is not going to be a fast scout rush. This is a great example of going up to the next stage too fast. I know that some of you mid-eloers or low-elo out there might be like, 15 pop scout rush, oh my god. But, like, unless you're making some serious mistakes that are going to affect you in the long term, 15 pop scouts isn't really a thing. Unless he goes no eco upgrades, but even still. I think from this point onwards, I would just rush my eco upgrades and hope for the best. There he goes. Weak scout now as well, right? So he'll be in Feudal Age, and this scout can't really attack or kill anything. And we're in game 2. And there's now a barracks up against the edge of the map from running. Running's going to see that uptime and be like, what? How? This doesn't make any sense. Barracks up against the edge of the map. Dang, man. Now, he did mill his hunt. And he's also now milling his berries. So that additional wood that he took in Dark Age is paying off. And the villager's there as well. It's been sloppy all around. Like, running just got housed. Okay, it's going to be 2 militia and a Vill. This is Sobek's point of view. He still can't make a stable. So, Feudal Age has given him no benefit, but he went up with 14 Vills. So, he had 14 Vills working, which could have been like 17 or 18, you know? Now, here comes the militia, which you can't deal with, even though you're in Feudal Age. And now we have some quick walls just to keep the villagers alive. And there's the stable for Sobek. He'll obviously be desperate to make some scouts and get a counterattack in. Honestly, I think the best thing you could do if you're running is just wall in the berries with that villager. I know it seems ridiculous at this stage, but seriously. The Drush is probably eventually going to die. Your villager might die as well. And that's not bad, because then your opponent has to come deal with you instead of going to your base, as we have another instance of Sobek being housed. Wow, this is really, really sloppy. I imagine the pressure is on. But, you know, like, this is not the type of game you would have wanted if you're Mongols, right? Like, Mongols, if you're untouched in Dark Age, are just insane. And so Running's just looping around. Running's on the way to Feudal Age. And I think the best thing for Sobek to do in this situation... Did he scout the barracks there? Let me see. He did scout the barracks. Best thing you can do in this situation is wall in your villagers on berries and get your scouts to go kill villagers at Running's base. You coming to deal with this is a natural response, and it's not necessarily horrible. But you really want to get some counter damage in before he's in the next age. Okay, now 4 scouts. The starting one goes down. The villagers are also helping. So Sobek's going to clear this. Good work from him, and then he could maybe counterattack. The villager's on the move. Good micro from Sobek. 3 scouts now. Look at those resources, though, for running. Running, pre-walling some of these wood lines just to keep the villagers protected. Has not actually gone to gold, which is interesting. So I think running's just going to go spearman defense. And yeah, the Vill lead's going to end up being like 4, I think. Because of the TC idle time. Mayans was starting with one more. And then also that loss. Archer range barracks at home for running. This villager gets caught out. Now the eco KD's 1-1. And okay, now this becomes more of a standard game, but it's very open for the Mayans, which do struggle with mobility at times. We've got 1 lumber camp wood eco right now for Sobek. Got 5 on wood, so everything's structured towards scout numbers. And we have running walled up over here. I think he knows he can fight back these scouts. Took his good old time. He still has this barracks. And he actually has spearmen here, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, he'll have spearmen everywhere. And what you would want in Sobek's position is to normally transition into a range. And there's the range for him. Has 4 scouts right now. Will be 5 scouts soon. Definitely opportunities here for him to do damage. So I guess, like, you can't really defend yourself that easily with spearmen if your barracks is on the front. So you just had to make another one. But he's got to be careful here, man. The downside of having forward buildings is that this is the case. Was never really able to get in front of that villager as it runs away. But I like the patience from Sobek not to engage and, like, force the fights. Still running around, being very active. Should be a lot easier for Sobek to play now in terms of getting your eco set up. And houses and all that. Like, I think running, since he's under pressure, he could be housed. But truthfully, he shouldn't be getting housed at all here. Like, if you want to get promoted, it's going to have to be cleaner than this. And we have the tower there. Running doesn't see that tower. And Sobek wants to draw the spearman away. Look at this. This is so smart from Sobek. He's drawing the spearman away. And now the spearman comes home for running. And running will see the vills and be like, what? But now it's too late. That tower's going to go up. And there's the house now as he realizes he needs houses. And for as good as the Dark Age was for running, it's gotten very tough for him to deal with this ever since then. Running still has spearmen around. It does leave the gold. And now we have Scout Skirmisher for Sobek, who wants to tie up the series. He's also really heavy on stone right now. His eco, though, is really crazy right now. He also sent so many villagers forward. 7 vills. So I don't know about you guys, but, you know, sometimes when the pressure's on for me, or I've drank too much coffee, I'm not able to be as precise. You guys might be like, well, that's just me every time, you know. I don't know what you mean. There's no difference. But for me, that's what happens. And so, like, the 4, like, now he's got to send everything over to this lumber camp. Now he's adding the farms. He's got all this stone. He's got 7 villagers forward. It's crazy, but sometimes it's really hard to account for crazy. And the crazy is what you need to come back after that type of a start. And running at the moment, if he can't take gold, and he's just coming over to gold, he can make a counter to skirm. His counter to skirmisher here would be eagles, right? And he does have this barracks, but that's useless. So he's got 1 barracks at home. And I think a bit of an all-in with more towers could be really strong for Sobek. And he's confidently just going to run over here, I think, and just tower this wood line. Now, what he doesn't have is blacksmith upgrades. And running's micro has been so good here. The villager's just attacking the mill. I think he was waiting for the stone to build the next tower and probably macroing at home. There's the blacksmith for him. He cannot afford fletching, but the skirms are still enough to hold it off. With 7 villagers, there's just no way. There's absolutely no way that you stop this tower from going up. Now, if Sobek wants to be really cheeky, he could try and wall all this in. I don't think he can do it, though, because there's enough surface area for running to, like, leave. He could just delete his walls and leave. But the villagers have to leave. You have to leave this way, I think. He's bringing his army to the hill, and Sobek's going to cut him off. That's the direction your villagers want to run. What a crazy game. 52 population versus 46. We now have a counter tower, though, from running. And he loses some of those spearmen here. And the tower fire could hit him, but he's dodging it. Most impressive stat of the game so far for me is Running's idle TC time. 30 seconds of TC idle time with all this pressure. And a lot of that's also because he was able to set up his food eco so nicely. He's got farms. He's had his berries comfortably. And so this is where you start to be, you know, I can be a little bit, not judgmental, but particular, I guess, on certain aspects, right? Like having 6 on stone and then 7 villagers forward. That's a large portion of your eco that isn't really helping you get to Castle Age. But that's an awesome tower, and we could see more towers too. And this army now loops around as Running has to make his own defensive tower. Finally, a villager's going to die there. Sobek worked so hard to find villager kills. And now you see the spearmen going down to the skirms, but that's just to buy time for the tower. Villager's still standing here for Sobek, but he knows about this tower. I think he's going to try and rush this. I think that'd be a big mistake. Trying to rush this down with villagers when there's archers out is really, really tough. And he thinks twice about it, because what would have happened here, guys, is Running would have made a house or two here, and he would have brought the archers in, and all those villagers would have gone down. Which is tower defense for Running. Look at all the farm space that's lost, though. Oh! Oh, man, this is so messy. And now the farming eco is looking better and better for Sobek. So the total resources brought in is much higher for Running. But I think that will even out a little bit. When I say much higher, I mean it, too. Dang. Yeah, Running did buy a lot of towers, but now he's on stone. He's got his wood, his gold protected. The big thing for him is food eco. And he's still got a decent amount of farms now that I talk about it. Has some eco upgrades in as well. I guess now the play for Sobek is to try and shoot this down. And Running's not playing any games with that. And he's just going to drop a tower here and go right back to farms. It's a really messy game. And we have the counterattack, and this could end the game. This honestly could be such a big moment in this one. Running realized he was defended with towers and said, you can't do anything against me. I guess losing access to stone isn't the biggest deal right now, but losing those villagers definitely hurts. Now Running, trying to loop this way. He will loop, and he kind of gets hit by the town center, but the army's still going to be a force to be reckoned with. As I say that, though, I guess only the farms are going to be denied back here. Here comes another tower from Sobek. Running has just completed his tower, and now he's going to build another tower and then hop into this tower. This is actually so good from Running, though. I know it looks messy, but transferring these villagers into this tower was such a big part of this. He should be able to hold this position, and a lot of that army and the villagers are going to go down. Meanwhile, that army from Sobek's kind of needed here, I think. 4-4 eco KD. Running, still less than a minute of TC idle time, and he clicks up to Castle Age. And he's known for a while now that he just needs to hold. I think that his army composition, though, is going to be the question. It surely has to be Eagles here. Wouldn't surprise me if we see, like, 2 more barracks go up in the back of his base. What he could consider doing here if he wanted to is actually battering this one down with Vills. I think Running will do that. Still microing here, obviously. Skirmishers have come home, so this should be dealt with now. Yep, there he goes. You batter that down with Vills because there's no Vills in this tower. And then if he goes back to put Vills in this tower, it's already too late. A little relaxed with the barrack numbers, to be honest. But he's got a lot of other things to focus on, of course. And that army gets dealt with now. But Sobek is still, like, forever feudal right now. Again, look at the economy difference. It's just been so rough for Sobek ever since he got lamed. But it's the Mongols that can normally do the laming, right? It's also not a lot stopping Running from, if he really wanted to, I don't think we'll see it on this map, but he could go into a little bit of a boom. He could find another gold, maybe drop a town center on it. Really what he'll want to do, I think he's going to target this tower. This tower's on its own. So his Running repaired here nicely and is shooting this tower down. I think he's going to get his eagles out in the front. And I think Sobek is just going to have this sinking feeling in his stomach that his opponent's up. And he'll know, like, going two games down to Running is not good for his future here. The goal is to win this series and get promoted with the big boys, but there's just some aspects of this game that I've seen. I just don't know. You know, after casting so much platinum, I feel like, you know, game 1 in this series, not respecting the Gulams enough. And now here, with the lack of economy and not really dealing with the lame all that easily. Just not sure if top 8 is in Sobek's sights unless he can really step it up here. He's super heavy on stone. The forward barracks paying off, and some eagles are raiding. Sobek now with some quick walls there. But the front, man, the front of his base, Running is going to have full control, and all these villagers are still here, and I think this is over. Sobek trying to get the walls down. Nice job. Protects the villagers. One villager will hop inside the tower, so that buys some time. But he's 2.5 minutes away from the next stage. If he can get a castle up and start making Mangadai, you never know. But how much damage is going to be done before he gets there is what's in my mind right now. Feels like these villagers will probably just be killed by an archer. That's all I would do, is just add an archer and sit behind the stone. These villagers here have to be microed constantly. And to be fair to Sobek, he's done a pretty good job at that. He's going to lose... He's only lost 1 so far to these raids. It'll get out of hand, though, quickly, as that makes it 2. And now the eagles get in here, and it could be 3 and possibly 4, even though the eagles are weak. And Running's full-on micro nerd right now. And he's just going to drop a tower here, which will destine all these villagers to dying in one way or another, right? They either die to the eagle, or do they die to the tower fire? And it's now 56 villagers versus 49, but one player has a TC that can produce vills. The other player's got idle time and still isn't even in the castle age to produce the next vills, and then we have Running here with the second TC. All right. Did they announce I'm going to be in Germany for Red Bull? That's awesome. Well, then now I can say I'm going to be in Germany for Red Bull. I didn't know. They told us not to say anything until they said something, so that's awesome. Running goes up 2-0 in this series, and now it's looking great for him, right? He's got his home maps up, still on the carts, right? The next game is going to be on the final home map for Sobek. So in like worst case scenario for Running, let's say he loses the next game, loses the game after that. We get to a game 5, he still probably has the edge because he's going in on a home map where he's probably prepared some strategies. And I understand laming can be aggressive, but you know, it's just something that you've got to deal with a little bit better here. If you're Sobek, you know, he gifted 2 of the sheep. You know, he lost the villager to the eagle and to the villager from Running, and 15 population feudal was just because he forgot to make houses and he didn't want to wait to make the house. So he said, screw it, let's try it. I'm sure Sobek will know all these things, and it's probably the first time that's happened to him all season long, but for it to happen now is really painful for him. And Running just played standard. It was a bit sloppy, but he just ended up playing standard. More wood, food, and gold collected. And having 7 villagers forward and then 6 villagers on stone looked so bad at the time he did it. He only had like 28 villagers at that time. And we always knew he wasn't going to have the economy for Running. And all right, Sobek in the green needs a response here. We have Arabia, and I think Sobek can do it. Sobek, as I said, kind of going into this series, he's very capable on Arabia. Has reached some pretty crazy heights on Arabia-style maps. I mean, mainly the ladder, he's gone very high, but he's had some decent runs in Arabia-style tournaments in the past. Here he is playing as one of the best civilizations on Arabia, has been for years the Chinese. And then we have Running, going for the Franks. And I think the Franks are also very well established as one of the best civilizations for Arabia. But they're just not picked quite as frequently these days because, honestly, the existence of Chinese. Chinese having the ability to go for archers, eco, and then also knight camel makes them more flexible than the Franks. And I think that flexibility, if utilized properly or taken advantage of, can leave Franks in a bit of a pickle. That said, Winchester against Nikov, Winchester showed with the Franks against the Chinese what you're able to accomplish. I think it's very easy civilization to play, and I think they have some great heights. From the forage bonus to the farm bonus to the scout knight bonus to the cheap castles, the civilization is just strong. So I'm expecting we will see some walling from Sobek, particularly with this map. He's got the dream map to try and get a victory here. It's definitely a bit more open for Running. But something that I have liked the idea of for a while with Franks is actually to open with man-at-arms. Because The Chinese are almost, like, if you go scouts against the Chinese, they're almost always going to be walled. And they can go for their own scouts and then maybe counterattack you. So I actually like to go into Man-at-Arm Archer with the Franks. If you're looking at high-level Man-at-Arm build orders, you're never getting the farm upgrade. It's always just the wood upgrade. And so the downside of Man-at-Arms is that while the timing's there on the attack, your eco's not as good later on. But with the Franks, since getting that farm upgrade for free, I think it's an underrated play to maybe consider going for Man-at-Arms. We'll see, though. Ideal time for the Chinese start? Well, the main thing, Slicker Joe, is you want 25 to 30 seconds of TC idle time minimum. I think the perfect start with Chinese, you get like 22-second TC idle time. This is pretty darn close. It's not like the best uptime ever, but Sobek's with 4 on wood. As Sobek is looking to find his opponent right now, which is interesting. He didn't stick around to really push many resources. He's gone forward. He now sees his opponent's house, and he's looking to see if he can find running. If he sees that rhino, he might steal it. It's on the front. In tournament games, normally you're not going to expect Chinese to lame you, but... Okay, he's choosing not to do so. Yeah, running took the rhino that was here. A safe way to play it in tournaments is sometimes to take the forward one. He's going to bring that one in now, and yeah, Sobek's just scouting him. But yeah, Chinese can do everything, and the game gets easier for them as the game goes on. The Franks can't necessarily do everything. Also, running didn't shoot the rhino. It should be fine. He's got loom already, yep. And running coming forward. Running sees the wood line. Also will have seen 4 on wood. I would always go 3 if I'm Chinese, unless I'm going to go for the early barracks. The Chinese can actually struggle a little bit with their own man-at-arms, which is, I think, another reason why you might want to do that with that Civ. And that's because they start with 0 food in the bank. They spend all feudal age trying to catch up and get a competitive feudal time. But to have a competitive feudal time and be able to make the militia and get the man-at-arms upgrade and also get your eco upgrades is tricky. So good archer civs will oftentimes open with man-at-arms. It's just the natural opening for them because they go barracks into range. Chinese would more often than not just open with a range to defend from man-at-arms. It's normal to see the uptime like this. This is not going to be man-at-arms, though. Running is going to go for scouts. And running at 19 population, I like it. I think 20 pop is fairly standard stuff for, let's say, ladder games. But when you're up against Chinese and you're in a big moment in a tourney, being up 1 population faster is always nice. Also can use that scout 30 seconds faster to deny a wall. I don't think it'll happen here, but if the walls are going to be coming up for Sobek, you'll want to use your starting scout against it. And there's 23 population. Now, the fastest uptime you normally see with Chinese is 22. Again, they're later because they start with more vills, but they don't have the food. But I like how Sobek is not trying to full wall his base. It could have been really tempting, but he's kept his villagers working on resources. And he's just walling here. He'll probably build his barracks in front of his berries. What I don't like is that he didn't push any deer. If I'm Chinese, I play it just like Running did. And I just like push in at least 2 deer at the start. I don't know. He might have been concerned that he was going to get drushed. I mean, his scouting's been very thorough, which is not bad. But, oh man, I think Running is looking for this scout. He just saw it next to his house there. And he can't seem to find it, which is good news for Sobek. Otherwise, Sobek would have lost that. Running still looking around. And so we'll have a Vill lead for Sobek. But the eco upgrade's flying in here for Running. And I actually like how he's building up his base. I think he's going to plan on taking this gold instead of this main gold. Still looking around to see if he can find any wall villagers. Hasn't found anything yet. And Sobek's going to go for small walls as well. Very safe play from him. We should also see a stable here. However, some players will opt to go eco upgrades and spearmen. I don't like that personally. I like to be offensive if I can. And there he goes with his stable. So yeah, Running is like, why can't I go over here? Oh, okay, I see it. Okay, so he's walled. Checking to see if there's a hole. There's no hole. And here comes scout number 2. Good morning, Elite Bombard Tower. How's it going? Welcome. This scout will be trapped in here, which is quite nice for Running. Not Running, excuse me, Sobek. Running does have more HP, being Frank's. We'll see the villager and choose to run away. Is trying to leave now. And we'll realize that he's trapped. And now it's decision-making time because he doesn't actually see that his opponent has a stable yet. So if you're thinking that your opponent hasn't gone for the stable, sometimes you'll go to gold right now because you're concerned that they're just being greedy with no military buildings. And you want to get the archers in sooner rather than later. But he saw the barracks at least, and now he sees the second scout. So that tells him that his opponent has scouts. So now I'm okay with even making another scout, just attacking some houses. And this is going to be a race to the Castle Age. T90, did I hear you're officially in at Red Bull? Yes. It was announced earlier today. I'll have to retweet it later on. I just showed it on stream, so pumped to be making it back. See some of my friends. Obviously cast some high-level age there, so. Minus 7k. Well, no minus 7k today. I've been good with no jokes, so. We also don't have 7k people here to lose, so. Alright, good move from Sobek. And if I were him, I would have actually had the weak scout stay home, but he's finally going to go out and try and counterattack his opponent. For running, he is still exposed on the berries. And running doesn't have any spearmen yet, which is surprising to me. He does have his own scouts, which he's now going to bring home, but could be seen as a little sloppy if he loses these villagers. Also, I think I need a new admin. I think we're going to fire Robo. Robo, I know you've been loving being back and all that stuff, but you've gone too far. I'm sorry. And oh! Scout loses the HP, and yes, I mean, Sobek's living the dream right now. This might not seem like a big deal because there's only 150 food left, but it's not only the food on the berries, it's the fact that your farms will be less efficient because you can't build them around the mill. So I would have liked to have seen Running try and make like 2 spearmen and just hold with his own spearmen and scouts there and fight off with the vills, but he wants to get up to Castle Age quickly. And you can see the range for Sobek. Now, that also could have been 3 farms, right? So he might struggle a little bit with his uptime. But he sees that as a good thing because he's going to have archers on the field. And I don't mind that. Especially if your opponent is cutting military numbers. You can try and apply aggression. But I would say, you know, attack the stable maybe. Attack something that your opponent will need to repair. I don't like the just running around in circles game. And also taking out the mill from Frank's does nothing because they get the farm upgrades even if they don't have a mill. Any other civilization, I would actually like to see this. But yeah, the farm upgrades will be coming in regardless. There goes Running on the way up. Fairly standard game for him. Just scouts into some walls and fast castle. Always nice when you don't have to make any switches. And Running was faster to the Castle Age, or Feudal Age, sorry, he'll be faster to the Castle Age, but Sobek will be behind him. And Sobek is making archers right now. I actually really like cav archers against Franks. And I think I would actually be okay with doing that if I were Chinese. They don't have the best cav archers ever, but they don't have the worst either. No, don't take out the mill! Why is he repairing the mill as well? This is kind of funny. Well, he's baiting this army, and he tried to do the same with the spearmen. Do you think Running thinks that... Are these archers coming forward? No, those are just the scouts. I wonder if Running thinks that he needs the mill to get the farm upgrade. A lot of players might think that. I've tested that before, so that's how I know it. Well, not a fan of 3 archers. Or 2 archers. Or could be 0 archers if these things get killed. I think the archers, the timing on the archers didn't necessarily make sense. And Sobek clearly here, he's just going to stop at this. He didn't even get fletching now. I think he just wants the archers to take out any spears, and he'll be happy. That'll end up being pretty good for him, actually, because Running might consider to go into pikes if his opponent was going to go camels, which is going to be the play here for Sobek. We have a villager from running this way, which tells me we might see an all-in. Sobek, now I'm a little confused, but Sobek might be expecting a bit of a boom game. And so I don't know exactly where she's headed right now, but she's going to do something. We do have these scouts Unable to deny the TC. That TC is going to go up. Archer's going to get picked off by the Knights. And we have a forward Monastery. Interesting. So running, sneaking forward into a Monastery. So now he'll know that camels are going to come out. And if he were to try and attack these walls, camels would arrive. If he's got some monks on the front, it might not be too bad. Also, I think the timing and the positioning of this tells me that this is going to be quite an aggressive play in Castle Age. Because if it were to be... If he wants to go long game, that monk is going to be coming out from home. And he would never be going for siege as well. Yeah, normally, if you see a forward workshop or a forward monastery, they're accompanied by the other. All right, so camels for now is completely fine for Sobek, who goes for a TC and a TC. 3 TC boom. He doesn't even need that many upgrades. Camels are still really solid here. But he does not know about this forward, guys. He's scouting out, looking for monks probably. He's like, this guy's got 2 TCs. Okay, he probably has got 3. I don't see a monastery yet. That's good. He's also added his own monastery at home. And okay, this is where he finds out the hard way, and man, can these situations swing. So he doesn't think he has to quick wall because he's like, oh, I'm fine. But now... As running... Oh, running! Convert the knight back! Okay, that is one confused knight right there. He's experienced lives on both sides. Yeah, great job from Sobek. That actually leads to him keeping his monk alive. His opponent has lost his monk, and now the camels are pushing this back, and now there's another monk. And Sobek... Man, the monastery addition from both players was so good, but in particular Sobek, if he didn't have his own monks... Life would not be as exciting for him right now. And he comes in with the scout. There's also a mangonel behind here. The scout goes down. And so there's a Vil lead for Sobek. He's got a sick economy. It's so good right now. He just needs to hold from this bit of an all-in. And it is going to be a 2 TC all-in. Because we don't see a 3rd TC. And we see a lot on food. We see a lot on gold. That's for knight numbers. That's for monks. And then occasionally, if you can get the wood, he's going to use the siege. Now, Sanctity is a big tech here. Because without Sanctity, your monks get one-shotted by mangonels. And I've been preaching this for months. I mean, I've been saying it for years too, but it's been a bigger thing in my mind recently. And we have double monk production from running. So he, in theory, can get more conversions. So he has the tool to kill the monks, but he will have more monks to be able to get conversions. This could get out of hand fast. How do you deal with the siege? You would need to go in against that. This is what arena players love. Any combination with siege monk, the arena guys are sick at, man. And they won't care too much being down 10 or so villagers, as long as they have the army control to eventually win the game. And oh, wait a moment. Wait a moment. Oh, geez, the scout's going for the monks. Oh, running is falling apart. Now the knights are going to dive. I think his whole strategy's ruined now. So he just says, let's kill as many villagers as possible. And he will get villager kills, but he will lose the majority of his monks. And if Sobek were to just deal with this, I think he'd love life. Still, villager kills are adding up. That's 7 villagers killed there by running. Might not end up being too bad by him in the end. And there's obviously a lot of idle time for his opponent as well. He did commit a lot to these buildings, though. And he's now losing his monks, and he could lose those buildings, and he could lose control over this game. So he killed 10 vills, make it 11. But at the cost of all of his army. That's painful. That's a really painful loss for him. So I think I would prefer Sobek's position. Remember, with the 2 town center play, you know you're going to be behind in villagers. So it's not about like a couple Vil kills here or there to win you a game. It's a completely different scenario. You need that army and that siege push to matter and last over the long game. So 60 villagers versus 58, 14 army versus 4. And Sobek is going to immediately follow this up with his own siege workshop. And we now have running starting to switch into pikemen at home. He also is going to have to somehow try and get his monks to get value. I really like how Sobek is deciding to go forward right away. A lot of players would just clear this with army, but I think that gives running a lot of time. That's probably something I would do, honestly. Like, I could do everything Sobek's done so far, but I think I would be clearing up these buildings, and then I would be surprised by the pikemen. Even in the back of your head, if you expect it, you still think, like, oh, okay, I can make siege if that happens, or switch into archers. I think it's the timing on everything. 3 TCs now for running. Lots more farming eco in the back. This is obviously very important for his gold, right? His main gold's there, which he delayed taking, and now he's got his third gold. We see Scorpions for Sobek because he saw Pikes, and he sees the second barracks. And he's going to mix in Archers. Would really like him to go for Mangonels, though, to take out the buildings, but he's worried first that the Pikemen might be able to take a good fight, and I understand that. Also, love the Sanctity Edition on the Monks, like we talked about earlier. Very helpful to keep the Monks alive. Oh, Running's coming home with his Monks, though. Oh, geez. Oh, man, and Running could get a lot of conversions, and the Camels are out of position. And this push could be stopped in its tracks. The Camels, even if they were here, wouldn't have really loved life, believe me, because of all the pikemen that were out. And dang, Running clears it up. Man, his production was pretty sick there. He was behind by so much army a moment ago, and oh god, Sobek's really struggling with the transition. Still no fletching, still no crossbowmen. And Running now can clear up these buildings, and his monasteries are still producing monks as well. He's got so many monks! Holy. Well, I think being able to walk... Like, this is also why maybe you want to take care of those buildings, I guess, right? Because Running wouldn't be on this number of monks if those buildings have gone down. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a very tricky scenario. And now we've got more on Stone for Running, who again is another game with better idle TC time. And the overall KD is 32 to 24. And his monk micro is insane. Look at all the Wololos happen. The Scorpions are going to pop out, though, and hit the monks from behind. That could be awkward for the monk numbers, but what will the army count look like after this? Monks could go down here as well for Running. And Sobek says, I'm back in town. But Running actually snipes all the Scorpions. It's so messy. Also, good micro here from Running. He actually lures the Camels away from the main fight. He will now take out the siege. Still has some monks around. Still has plenty of pikemen. And there's no answer to pikemen, guys. Sobek, I knew that he would be competitive in the group. And I think I predicted he'd be in the middle of his group. And I think he was third in his group. Now he's up against second place Running. And he has not really looked the part today. Like, he's struggled against everything Running has sent at him. This is before we even go to Running's home maps. And even though that little all-in there at the start, or what looked like a bit of an all-in from Running, failed, it didn't really fail that much, right? Like, he killed 13 villagers and lost 0 this game, and he was able to recover nicely. And now he's got full control. These monasteries have been so helpful. The conversions have been so important. And now Sobek is going to drop a castle at home. Clearly thinking about the Imperial Age, might want to build up towards pikemen. And Running doesn't actually see any of that. And Running wants to drop a castle here. Look at all the villagers coming forward. My goodness. So he's back on the knights now, too, because he knows his opponent might go into archers. Oh, this is going to be such a good hill. Oh, man. This is such a sick spot. He doesn't even know how good it is. Because this TC is a good TC to place in most cases. Would not be good if that castle goes up and Sobek taps out. I mean, I think it was a good first season for Sobek. I'll pull up the group performances here in just a second to kind of review that, because I know for a lot of people who will see this, they might be like kind of unimpressed with the 3-0. But he'll be alive in gold for the next season, and I'll be excited to see what he learns from the first one. But that does confirm that Running, the arena player who won on all non-arena maps here, will be in the top 8 at least, and that Running will be promoted into Platinum for the next season. And I forget my predictions for gold, but I think I had him top 2 in his group, and congratulations to him. Yeah, and I think this series was a little sloppy at times, but Running was just a lot more consistent. From his eco to his military control to any transition he needed, he made this series look really easy for him. The timing on everything was perfect. 53 kills, 35 deaths, and it actually looks like it was 10-9 with conversions, but I don't know, man. Really felt like when Running utilized the monks, it was always in a better scenario for him. And okay, so let's just pull, before we cut this off for YouTube, who will watch later on. Also, everyone who's been watching the Extras channel, you guys are all awesome. Thank you for being interested in the additional content. So let's actually look at what happened with Sobek and his group. So he was in Group B, and he got third place. And so his results were 2-1 versus Madri, 2-1 versus Nili, 2-1 versus Gemjack. So he won 3 sets. And then he got 3-0'd by Fire. And then he 2-1 to Draken. Wow, so he actually won 4 sets. And he also beat the player who ended up winning the group. So yeah, he had an amazing group. But ended up in third place, I guess, because he got 3-0'd by Fire. And because Fire also did an incredible job. And he will be back in gold for the next season. As for Running, we'll still see more from him. Running will move on in this bracket. So Running will face up against Valis, the winner of Group A, in a quarterfinal. Again, Valis already confirmed to be promoted. We'll see exactly who becomes the champion of gold this season. But for Running, he also had a decent run. 3-0. 3-0. Got 2-1 by Andy there. 2-1 Ganji. And then 2-1 Dark. So yeah, Running also looked really solid in the group stage. And he'll continue to fight. What do you guys think about an interview with Running? A short little interview. I wasn't originally planning on interviewing players today. But we have some time. And I've spoken to Running in the past. I think he'd be a good interview. Running, congratulations, man, on the 3-0. Nice to talk to you. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I'm feeling fine. I'm kind of ill at the moment, so I'm not really in top shape, but I'm happy that I went through.
Okay. Well, sorry, I didn't know you were ill. I would have said no to the interview, but I won't keep too much of your, or take too much of your time here. Well, you know, I had you as one of the favorites to move on out of your group. But going into the group stage, how did you feel your chances were within your group? What was your expectations, I guess, for yourself in the group stage and beyond?
I felt like, on paper, me and Dark should have been the favorites in our group, and I expected us to have a battle for the first place.
Yep.
But suddenly Ganji 3-0'd everyone in the group.
Right.
And yeah, and even though I won against Ganji, I lost against freaking Andy, so I couldn't be first. But I think I'm quite happy with the performance in the group.
Yeah, I mean, you should be, right? From the outside, obviously you were close to getting first place. You then had to fight in this series you just did, but you won that series 3-0. How excited are you to be promoted now? So you have played amongst what I say the big boys, right? You've played up against a lot of top players in events. You've had some good runs, and you've been fairly consistent there. But now it's going to be a league format next season with the 18 players who stayed alive for next season from Platinum. So what are your thoughts going into the next season?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's a great opportunity to improve playing against those guys in tournament. Also, with the current map pool, I think I have a very solid shot at winning at least the closed map against every player.
Okay.
So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. I mean, you probably saw the relegation fight from the Platinum League, right? And there were a lot of situations where it's like, if this person gets a win or two, even if they lose their series, they're still going to stay alive for the next season. So that's awesome. Would you say it's a motivating factor to have this happen every 6 months as opposed to like have like a tournament and then you have to celebrate or not and then just wait until the inevitable announcement for the next one, which might not happen for a while? Like, how does that affect you as a player who, you know, has another tournament coming up, another season in like 6 months' time?
I think it's pretty great. It's always nice to have a consistent plan so you can practice all along the year.
Yep.
To look forward to it. I think it's great.
Okay, cool. Well, I won't take too much more of your time. I don't know if you had anything else to really mention here. I'm just looking through 11 wins in the group stage. You now will have, well, I guess what we should talk about is you have a quarterfinal actually on Saturday. You'll be up against Valis, who I think dominated his group, right? Let's see. Yeah, he was 5-0. He won 13 games. What are your expectations? What are your thoughts before you go up against him on Saturday?
The last time I played against Vadas was an RMS qualifier, and I lost the decider game to a camping Hoofnies play.
Yes, it was Malay versus Bohemians, right?
That was really frustrating. So I expect a close set, and I hope I can win.
Okay. Well, hey, I'll be looking forward to it. You know, I think the quarters, the semis, and the finals of gold, it's a lot of bragging rights. There is a bit more prize pool, but it's just like extra level competition. So more than anything, regardless of what happens there, happy for you that you're going to be in the Platinum League for next season, and I hope you keep it up, man.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, Running's a really good guy. I didn't know he was sick as well, so he 3-0'd Sobek like it was nothing when he's sick. I forgot about that series. It was a close series between Valis and Running. Looking forward to that on Saturday.